Georgia O'Keeffe, one of the most prolific and famous modern artists, was born on November 15, 1887, on a farm in Wisconsin. She showed an early interest in art and the natural world, something her mother encouraged. Reflecting back on her early years later in life, she remembered, "I had it in my head that I was going to be a painter." At age 18, she attended the Art Institute of Chicago for 2 years before moving to New York City for the Art Students League. In 1912, she went to the University of Virginia at Charlottesville. There she met Arthur Wesley Dow, a teacher who introduced her to a number of different art styles from around the world, which heavily influenced her work. She sent several charcoal drawings to a friend in New York, who passed them along to a gallery owner named Alfred Stieglitz, who began corresponding with O'Keeffe and debuting her work in his gallery. The two of them fell in love and eventually married. In the late 1920s, O'Keeffe's work really started gathering notice, with works and exhibits in Brooklyn Museum and the Museum of Modern Art. She frequently traveled, staying in New York, Texas, and visiting places like Bermuda and New Mexico. She often painted scenes of New York and did close-ups of flowers. On her flower paintings, she said, "When you take a flower in your hand and really look at it, it's your world for the moment. I want to give that world to someone else."
In order to create the fascinating pieces of O'Keeffe's, it required a very unique creative process consisting of placing drawings in named file folders, taking pictures from various vantage points and lighting, trimming her paintbrushes meticulously, etc. This was not the only way in which she was creative in her art, though. In fact, she went against the mainstream non-representational art movement of her time. Instead, O'Keeffe created representational pieces, depicting things recognizable in the real world through her abstract motifs based on nature, creating an unheard-of fusion of abstraction and realism. In fact, she is known for being the first American artist to truly embrace abstractionism, which led to her becoming one of the lead artists in the American modernism movement. This allowed her to pave the way by portraying her creative vision in order to express her true feelings. In the words of O'Keeffe herself, "I found I could say things with color and shapes that I couldn't say any other way, things I had no words for." She found the inspiration for her pieces from the environment around her, which can be seen from her paintings of the New York skyscrapers to her various flower paintings. She added her own twist on these pieces by using photography techniques such as zooming and cropping. She also really focused on her use of shapes, intense colors, and lines to create a flow in her pieces.
In Georgia's later life, she was inspired by the landscape of New Mexico. Aspects such as the Navajo culture, the scenery, and the unique architecture allowed O'Keeffe to take a new direction with her work. She produced many of her highly acclaimed pieces here, such as Black Cross and Cow Skull, Red, White, and Blue. Towards the beginning of the 1940s, O'Keeffe divided her residence between New York, where her husband Stieglitz lived, and working on her art in New Mexico. In 1946, Stieglitz died from a fatal stroke, and O'Keeffe decided to permanently move to New Mexico 3 years after his death. In the same year of her husband's death, she was elected into the National Institute of Arts and Letters and decided to travel the world for inspiration in the 1950s and 1960s. As she aged, Georgia suffered from macular degeneration, causing her to progressively lose her eyesight. Nonetheless, she continued to compose her works of art with assistance until the very late years of her life. On March 6, 1986, Georgia O'Keeffe passed away at the age of 99 in Santa Fe. Over the course of her life, O'Keeffe produced thousands of works that are presently displayed in numerous museums across the world. Her home in Santa Fe has been transformed into the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum in honor of her creative legacy and is a National Historic Monument.
Shutterstock Music.